Join me today as I dive into the ultimate challenge of ranking the greatest fantasy fiction heroes of all time. Who's gonna make the cut? Welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where a father and son talk about fantasy, science fiction, horror, and other nerdy things that we enjoy. I'm Jim, the father of this channel, and thank you for joining me as I bring another ranked list to you today on an interesting topic, one I think you're really going to enjoy. If you do, be sure to hit that thumbs up. That means you liked it. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Thanks. Who would you say are the greatest heroes in fantasy fiction? Think of the legendary, epic tales that have shaped our love for fantasy. All these heroic characters who are so incredible. Now, how do you rank them? Well, I'll tell you, you don't. You let me do it for you. That's what I'm here for. And I've got another top 10 list for you today. But how have I ranked these fantasy heroes? What did I go through to figure this out? What were the parameters? I considered the following factors: iconic status. Just how highly are these characters revered by the general fantasy fandom and beyond? Cultural impact. How deeply have they impacted our culture beyond the pages of the book? Character depth. We're not just here for cheap thrills, people. What has made the character into the hero they've become? What drives them? And finally, enduring popularity. No one hit wonders here. I'm looking for the heroes that linger, the ones whose heroic acts and perhaps sacrifices continue to resonate long after the events become known, both in world and out here in our world. You will definitely recognize many of these heroes on my list. Maybe you'll recognize most of them. But all of them? Well, that depends on how well you know your classic fantasy, as some of these are deeper pulls than others. But for me, they all have solid reasons to be on this list over other potential candidates. And I'm going to stick with it. Let's do this list. Number 10, Morgaine, from the Morgaine Saga by C.J. Cherry. First appearing in Gate of Ivril in 1976. Morgaine is mysterious and brilliant, so unlike the female characters of her time. She's driven to save worlds by closing ancient gates at any cost. She's renowned for her gender defying role, a female hero already back in the stoic sword and science fantasy of the 1970s. You just don't find many back there like Morgaine. And the impact? Time bending, as her choices literally ripple across space and time. Just a one of a kind hero and gets that 10th slot on my list. Number 9, Harry Dresden, from the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher, first appearing in 2000 in the novel Stormfront. Harry is a modern wizard for hire with wit, firepower, and the heart of a hero. Not that he'd ever admit it. He lands on this list for his tremendous impact on the success of urban fantasy, as this series blends noir detective vibes and magic seamlessly. Harry is so often beat to heck by the author. He's always seeming outgunned or outmagicked, but he never gives up. Truly hero vibes. Additionally, with 17 books out in this series, along with numerous novellas and short stories, we've been able to watch Harry Dresden's progression and growth from a wisecracking wizard to a god-tier protector of the weak and defenseless. Side note, I can't wait for book 18, 12 months, which is slated for a January 2026 release. Number 8, Elric of Melnibone, from the Elric Saga by Michael Moorcock, first appearing in a 1961 short story called The Dreaming City. The first novel he showed up got the same name, Elric of Melniboné, which came out in 1972. Elric is an albino noble with a soul drinking sword and a tragic destiny. He's the ultimate anti hero. His presence, strikingly different in tone from many other fantasy heroes, as he is deeply flawed and a brooding, nihilistic individual. It makes sense, therefore, that his famous blade, Stormbringer, drinks souls. I mean, right? Though that is only one of the many amazing magical attributes of this sword. Now, in part, he earns a spot on this list for the way he subverts the tradition of the noble warrior. He's quite something different, but he is a hero nevertheless. For number 7, I'm bringing Drizzt Do'Urden from the Legend of Drizzt series, a part of the Forgotten Realms books that are based on the Dungeons and Dragons role-playing settings. Author R.A. Salvatore first introduces this hero as a secondary character of the Icewind Dale trilogy, right off in Book 1, The Crystal Shard, which came out in 1988. Drizzt is a drow elf hero, or drow elf hero. These fantasy words, it's hard to know how to pronounce them. He defies his dark heritage, though, being a dark elf, to instead do good. We're not supposed to like dark elves, but Drizzt defies expectations and then gives us much to like, both from his actions, such as his dazzling swordplay capabilities, to the way he demonstrates his sense of honor. His longevity goes a long way toward getting him on this list. I've got the whole Drizzt series waiting on my TBR because I've only touched a couple at the beginning. There's over 30 books. I mean, we've got dozens of novels here where he's the star character, and they stretch over decades. Lots of Drizzt to love. Number 6, Kavoth from the Kingkiller Chronicle by Patrick Rothfuss, first introduced to us in 2007 with the novel The Name of the Wind. Musician, magician, myth made flesh. Kavoth is most definitely an enigmatic, flawed hero. His qualities are epic. Music, magic, biting wit. Kavoth excels at everything he touches. Of course, perhaps he's higher on this list than he should be, as what we know of him comes from his own narrated tale, and we all know what they say about the unreliable narrator. And how much of his story has been influenced by his larger than life legacy? The world of the Kingkiller Chronicle believes that Kvoth is both a hero and a terror. And both sides of things are probably exaggerated far greater than anyone could actually live up to. Number 5 on this list, Arya Stark. From A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin, first introduced to the world in 1996's A Game of Thrones. You know her, you love her, our fearless, vengeful assassin who actually does have a moral compass. Her place on this list relies on what we see in the books and then is continued in the HBO show once the book content ran out. She earns this 5th spot as we sit in awe of her grim transformation, going from innocent girl who's lost everyone and everything to a deadly assassin ready and capable of taking back her place, her power, and her people. Motivated by loss, Arya could have simply become bitter, striking out at everyone and everything. Instead, guided by this moral compass that was imprinted upon her from the very start growing up in the Stark household, we've got a character who never strays. Her compass is unshakable. Of all the many characters from the ensemble cast of A Song of Ice and Fire, Arya stands out as a fan favorite for her fierce independence in the midst of a brutal, uncaring, and unforgiving world. Number 4, Rand al'Thor from the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan, first appearing in 1990's The Eye of the World. Rand is the prototypical farm boy turned world-saving messiah. But what helps him rise to number 4 on the list is the internal struggle he has with that destiny. He has next level issues to bear. His heroic markers include a tragic destiny, learning early on that he is the long prophesied savior of the world who's also doomed to go insane, someone who could just as easily save the world as destroy it. That's a lot to carry. Over a massive 14-book series, we get to watch Rand evolve from a naive, simple sheep herder to a world-altering force with all sorts of bumps and strife along the way. Rand brings along a plethora of philosophical themes, including his struggles with fate, free will, and identity. Number 3, Geralt of Rivia, from the Witcher series by Andrzej Sapkowski, first appearing in The Last Wish, which was published in Polish in 1990 and then translated to an English version in 1993. Geralt gives us a delightfully interesting, morally complex monster slayer, like none we'd ever seen before. Reasons he's way up the list here include his complex morality, but it's fascinating watching Geralt navigate shades of gray amidst brutal politics and magical shenanigans. His iconic stoicism. This dude is gruff, sarcastic, and yet completely loyal. He brings a unique voice amongst leading characters of fantasy fiction. And then his cultural impact. Through the books, the video game series, and the Netflix show, Geralt has generated a massive fan base. We love Geralt of Rivia. Number 2, Frodo Baggins, from The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, first introduced to us in 1954 as the Fellowship of the Ring. Frodo is the ultimate reluctant hero. He practically defined that fantasy trope, demonstrating incredible bravery and persistence in the face of overwhelming odds. Other highlights that earn him the number 2 hero slot include he's just an ordinary hobbit, thrust into extraordinary circumstances, and he chooses to carry his immense burden rather than let anyone down or to see it fall on someone else. He demonstrates incredible moral resilience as we see him choose mercy over vengeance, in particular through his interactions with Gollum. Gollum. Yeah, I shouldn't have tried that. And Frodo is a symbol of sacrifice, as we see him suffer deeply and ultimately be changed forever by this journey that he pursues for the sake of the entire world, and especially for his friends. It's so impactful. In general, Frodo is the sort of hero we average, everyday people can truly relate to. There's nothing special about Frodo, just like there's nothing really special about most of us. But we can also simply be in awe at what Frodo is willing to endure, imagining how unlikely any of us would have or could have done the same. But number 1 on this list of heroes, the top hero of all, based on my criteria, is Gandalf, from The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, originally introduced to us in The Hobbit back in 1937. Gandalf is the prototype for the wise and powerful mentor archetype, ready to guide others on a physical journey, but also a journey of growth and self-discovery, even as he hides his own true power. Gandalf belongs here in part because in this whole thing Tolkien created, yeah, he might blend in as part of the Fellowship, but he's actually a Maya spirit, a lesser god of this world of Middle-earth with divine origins and purpose. He's not just another guy. He also has given us so many epic moments and quotes, from "You shall not pass" to returning as Gandalf the White. Man, I could go on with so many other examples, so many touching pieces of dialogue, so many big impact moments. We love us some Gandalf. All right, that's my list. That's my top 10. What do you think? Do you disagree with any that are on here? Are there seriously absolute top 10 fantasy heroes that I didn't mention and you would want to put on the list? That's why there's a comment box, people. Put your thoughts down there. You can comment on anything I said or just throw in your own ideas. I will read and I will respond because it's delightful to see you putting things here and giving me a chance to interact. Speaking of interacting, look in the show notes for other ways you can get in touch with Zach and I, our email address, an invitation to our Discord server, our social media links, and even our Patreon page. Well, that's it then. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.